Good morning. Good morning. Thanks so much. We're excited to be back in Bay County. I want to thank everybody who's here with us. I know we've got our Senator Jay Trumbull. We have Representative Griffiths. So thank you guys for your hard work. They're going to come back with me to Tallahassee after this press conference, and they've got some more stuff to do, but there's been a whole host of really good stuff happening this year in the state of Florida, and they've been a big part of it. We have our acting executive director for Florida Fish and Wildlife, Dr. Thomas Eason. We have Congressman Neil Dunn. We have some captains, Kevin Lawley, Justin Leak. We have Mitch Holman, owner of Captain's Table Fish House restaurant here in Panama City. And as you might expect, today has an announcement that does concern fishing, and I think people will be really excited about that. You know, if you look at what we've done in Florida, our economy is outpacing the nation and has consistently for many, many years. They printed, so in 2020, we had about $24 billion worth of adjusted gross income move into Florida. The next closest state was Texas. I think they had about $6.5 billion. California and New York were losing 17, 18, 19 billion. 2021, we had, I think the number's 38 billion adjusted gross income move into the state of Florida, and other states were hemorrhaging. Texas was number 2. I think they were 9 or 10 billion. So we are clearly the place to be. People are seeing that. They're voting with their feet. They're voting with their pocketbook. And yes, some of it is moving to Florida, but also if you look at the visitation and look at how people have wanted to come here just to vacation like never before, it's been really, really good. You know, part of the reason why we're successful is we offer a lot of different things. We're proud of being the fishing capital of the United States. We're proud of being the boating capital of the United States. And when people come here, that's a big reason why they want to do it. We estimate that the fishing industry contributes almost $14 billion to the state's economy and is responsible for about 120,000 jobs. So that's a really, really big deal. And it's also just very culturally significant because this is something that is in Florida's DNA. And so it's something that we always have to do and we will do. So we're happy to be here. So last year, we were able to announce what was at the time a record for record-long Gulf red snapper recreational season. And as you know, this is something that's managed. The state is now responsible for managing it. It used to be by the feds. When I became governor in 2019, the season lasted about 40 days total. And what we've done is said, you know, because I've talked to a lot of the people that fish, and they're like, there's a lot more snapper out there than what the federal government says there are. So why are we doing this restriction based off a data that's not even accurate? And so I told my folks, like, we need to be accurate, and if there's fish there, we need to expand the ability for people to go in during the season and do it. So we've done that every year. Last year was the record, and people were very happy about that. But today I'm excited to announce that for 2023, the recreational season will be the longest ever since the state has undertaken management, and it will total 70 days. So that's 2 weeks longer than last year's total. It will have a summer and a fall season. And so we've never had anything this long under state control. And so it'll go from the summer will be 46 days. It will open June 16th and run all the way through July 31st, including both Father's Day and July 4th. And then the fall season will be every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in October and November, including Veterans Day and the weekend after Thanksgiving. So 70 days. So 70 days is great. And look, this is something that that feeds into the economy and the restaurants, all that. but it's also just a great tradition. This is something that families have done for many, many years, and I think there's going to be more opportunity as a result of our efforts. And so I'm thankful for FWC for answering the call. We always push to do more, anything we do, not just on this. We don't just settle. We want to continue to push the envelope, and so that's what we've been able to do, and that's an example of that here today. I'm also happy to announce, this is the last week of the legislative session. We've gotten a lot done. I mean, if you look just this week, I signed bills to put fentanyl dealers who market to children and put it in candy. They get life in prison now. We also have a bail to say we're not going to get rid of cash bail like New York does. In fact, we're going to handcuff some of these judges who are releasing people. And so we'll have bail, but also mandatory to where these people have to be held accountable. Because even in Florida, with a 50-year low crime rate, the people that commit crimes, a lot of these people have been cycled through and they get released. And, if they release somebody without a bond and then they commit another crime, chances are that crime would not have happened had they just held them accountable. So we're happy to be able to do that. And we signed legislation saying that, these pedophiles raping these young kids under 12 should be eligible for the death penalty. And so we've authorized that in Florida. Tuesday, I was able to sign the most sweeping set of reforms to crack down on this whole concept of ESG. They call it environment, social governance, but really all it is an attempt to marshal corporate power and shareholder power to enact an ideological agenda. So they want to go after energy development. They want to go after Second Amendment. They want to go after things that they could not succeed if they went through the ballot box. And so they're trying to do an end run around that constitutional process and institute these changes through asset managers and large financial institutions and other corporations. And so we think that that's a threat to freedom here in the state of Florida. So what we've done is say our pension fund is going to be invested, and we've got, I guess actually more recent weeks the market's done better. Didn't do very well last year, but we've got $185 billion, it's gotten close to $200 billion state pension fund, and that needs to be invested based on what returns the most value for the beneficiaries. It should not be invested based on somebody's political agenda, and so we've kneecapped ESG in our pension. We've also said we're not going to allow things like social credit scores in terms of your credit worthiness. And so you apply for a loan, you have the factors. The idea that somehow you could qualify financially, but they ding you because you're not towing some type of political or ideological line is absurd. And it's not a way you can run an economy. And we're also saying to the ratings agencies, we're not going to be funding any rating agencies who use ESG as part of their bond ratings. And so you look to see local bonds, state bonds, they rate. Florida rates very high at the state level because we've got low debt and a massive surplus. But there's a movement to say those ratings should also reflect ESG scores. And there are ESG ratings that are separately. And so, if people want to rate ESG, I don't agree with it, but fine. But if you're going to put that into the bond rating or any type of credit rating, then that's distorting the economy, and so we won't do. And also just the discrimination that goes on by some of these Wall Street banks. They're going after people who own a gun store, or they're going after folks involved in industries they don't like, and that's not a way I think that an economy could be successful. So we did this most sweeping anti-ESG changes that any state has done, and I think that that's really, really important. And then yesterday, we were able to sign legislation to bring transparency to this prescription drug racket, and especially these pharmacy benefit managers, that they're middlemen and they really cause the cost to go up. They hurt consumers, and it hurts our local pharmacists with some of the things that they do. They'll sometimes will charge a copay to the customer that's higher than the cost of the drug itself. And you think about that, how is that? But it's very opaque. So we're shining light on that, and we're basically I think, making it more difficult to make money just by being a middleman. You should make money in the economy by providing value. If a service is providing value, that's one thing, but just being in the middle and being able to capitalize off opaque procedures is not what we want. So that's going to be really, really good. And then today we're doing this announcement, which we're very happy about. And then they've got a whole bunch of other bills that we're going to be processing over the next couple of weeks. I mean, I called for the legislature to eliminate the ability of businesses affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party to purchase things like farmland in Florida. And so we're getting that done. We're going to be able to do that prohibition, and there's other things that are coming down the pike that I think are going to be very, very positive. They also have been able to do the budget. So the budget is now, they call it on the table. So it sits on the table for 72 hours. So they put it on Tuesday. You have Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday morning, and then they'll vote on it sometime Friday, and that will pass that out. Now, I've got to look at the budget. There's all these individual line items. I have a line item veto. These guys put things in that shouldn't. Sometimes I'll veto. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Last year we vetoed about 3% of the overall budget. We did $3.3 billion, and the budget was $109 billion. So, but I don't think we'll have to do that much this year. But you never know. You will see some veto. And these guys don't like to hear that, but there will be some. However, there are things in the budget that I've seen that I know that we will obviously support. And one of the things that is there is the legislature has allocated $17 million to support continued restoration efforts of the oyster habitat in Apalachicola Bay. So that will be one that makes the cut. We understand how important that is, and we want to make sure that that the industry thrives and that people are able to enjoy. So that'll be good. Now there's other stuff. We'll see how all that shakes out. Although I will say, find you another governor that's been as good to the Panhandle as me. I don't think you could find that. And we'll continue to do a lot. And honestly, we're proud of a lot of the stuff that's gone on. I run into people, and especially like you run into people from Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Tennessee, whatever. I mean, it's like, Northwest Florida is like a second home for a lot of these people. I mean, the minute they get a chance to go with the family, this is like the place that they want to go. So we're really proud of that. I was really proud during the earliest days of COVID, coming to Bay County, going to other parts of Northwest Florida and just seeing all the license plates from all these states, because this was like the place that was normal and that you could actually enjoy yourself. And so we know that there's that the secret is definitely out. People are looking at this part of the state more than ever, and understandably so. There's a lot to offer. It's a great place to be, great place to visit, great place to raise a family, and an even better place now to do red snapper. So we're proud of that. So we're going to hear from a couple folks. So we've got our FWC Acting Director, Thomas Eason. Why don't you come up?
Good morning, and thank you, Governor, for these exciting announcements and for your excellent leadership here in Florida. We appreciate that. It's a beautiful day here in Panama City, and it's a great day for conservation here in the state of Florida. I did want to take just a moment and thank our angling friends, partners, and the angling community for help making the state Reef Fish Survey a success. That's some of the data that has driven the ability for Florida to manage our own resources around red snapper and continue to expand the season. So we're excited by that and just want to give a hearty thank you to all of the anglers out there helping make that a success. And we're obviously very proud to be a part of all of these important conservation issues, and we are looking forward to getting anglers out there to enjoy a 70-day red snapper season. So thank you very much.
All right. Okay, Kevin.
So good morning. Captain Kevin Lawley, I'm local charter captain here in Panama City. And I was born and raised in Apalachicola. So with that being said, On behalf of myself and the residents of Franklin County and Apalachicola, I want to thank Governor for the $17 million for the oyster restoration project. That's going to be a really big deal for the industry, and we certainly appreciate it. Also, thank you for the extended red snapper season. It's going to be a great year for Florida and all of our visitors. So, thank you.
All right.
Okay, Justin.
I'm Captain Justin Leake, and I host Chasing the Sun TV. I'm a member of Captains for Clean Water, and I'm also a fishing guide here in Panama City. And we just want to thank you for really using good leadership, good data to create the longest snapper season yet. That is one of the biggest economic drivers in this area. If you're not familiar with Panama City, I've named this the red snapper capital of the world on one of our shows. But really, the whole Florida Panhandle is. It's one of the biggest economic drivers here. And when you give us a season like this, it is a big economic boost. Not just for charter boats. Again, this is a recreational season. And because of that, you see these dry storage marinas, they're all full of boats. Every dealer in the Panhandle is setting record sales numbers. The hotels, just the tourism industry altogether benefits so much from this. And it's all because we're taking good leadership, good information, and you're making it as accessible as possible for everyone, not just one, sector here. We're talking about this is available to everyone, so we want to thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mitch.
Thank you, Governor. Mitch Holman, Captain's Table Fish House Restaurant in St. Andrews, and snappers are a big deal. We love to do a hook and cook. People go out, catch their own fish, and bring them to restaurants like mine. There's a lot of other ones that do the same thing, and we're excited about getting a full season in. We got wiped out by Hurricane Michael, and this will be the first full year for us down in historic St. Andrews, and we couldn't be more happy. Thank you.
Okay, Neil Dunn.
Well, it's gotten to be a habit. When we see the governor in town, we know we're going to get some good news. And once again, you did not fail us. That's some really, really good news. And I want you to know that you have some real fans here. And it's not just about red snapper, but red snapper certainly figures prominently. My oldest fishing buddy here is the mayor, right front and center, Greg Bernighi. I know he's happy. We're going to go out and go fishing this summer, one weekend, I promise. But you also have, I want to thank the legislature. You made a good point. They have turned in a great session this year in Tallahassee. Tallahassee has become the capital of the best state in the entire country. I hear that daily in Washington, D.C. They tell me, oh, you're so lucky you live in Florida. And it's because of great leadership. You see it here today. Thank you, Senator Trumbull. Thank you, Representative Griffiths. You guys do a great job. I'm so proud to be living in the Panhandle and fishing for red snapper with you. Thank you, Governor.
All right, thanks. Appreciate that. Thank you. So we're excited for today's announcement. We're also just tell you, buckle up over the next days and weeks. There'll be a lot of good stuff that we'll be highlighting based off what we've been able to do working with the legislature. And you run, and we came and did, we campaigned here, and these guys were campaigning and all this, and you win a really historic victory for Florida, not just for me, but like the super majorities in the legislature, school board, all this, and there's kind of a tendency to let's just beat your chest, you won, right? And I think what we've said is no, winning just gives you an opportunity to make good on these promises. And so don't waste the opportunity. And so what we've been able to do is, from the time that election ended, from the time the new legislature came in a week or two later, we've been able to go on a historic run that has never been seen before in this state's history. And I guarantee you put us up against any state, in modern times, and I don't think you're going to see the productivity and the boldness that you have seen in Florida across the board. We were proud of what we did in the first term. worked with the legislature, did a lot of great stuff. But this one is taking it to a new level. We've done 2 special sessions since the election. We did stuff on response to Hurricane Ian. We did a big overhaul of the property insurance because we've got to get that in a better spot. We did things like fix our election integrity office that is bringing prosecutions, and some courts have said there was a problem, so we fixed that. We made sure that these illegal aliens we can transport if we need to, and that's not just Martha's Vineyard, but it could include Martha's Vineyard. And then we also formally eliminated Disney's self-governing status in February, and we were also able to do a big program for our commuters who get hit with tolls. You know, the tolls aren't uniform throughout the state. There's some places it's not as big a deal. Others, they get hit all the time. So our commuters are getting for 2023 a 50% cut in tolls, and that's hundreds of dollars. Some people it'll be over $1,000. You know, so that was really good. And then we get into the regular session, and we've already signed into law really historic stuff, and then we've got all this other stuff that's coming in for a landing now, and that we'll be doing. So we're proud of the work. We're proud of taking, seize the moment and make sure that you're getting all that you can. And I remember saying when I became governor the first day, sat in the office, I kind of just looked around, and I thought to myself, you know, I don't know what SOB is going to succeed me in this office, but they ain't going to have much to do because we're getting all the meat off the bone, and we're doing that. All right. Questions? Yes, ma'am. So the issue on the death warrants is we did it when I came in. Then we had a case that got into court, and then someone else claimed that they did it, and this, and it just took time. And I was in a situation where I thought that the guy on death row was guilty, but I also thought, you know, the public has to have confidence in this. So that kind of took time. Then we had like COVID and some other stuff. So it kind of got on the, it slid a little bit because of those 2 factors. So then we said, okay, we got to get back on. The problem is last year we didn't want to do it thinking like, oh, it's an election year and like we're trying to do that. So we said, let's just get through the election, and then so we're trying to get on a more normal pace with some of this. And the fella yesterday, committed really unspeakable crimes. He actually apologized to the victims, which a lot of these guys don't do. A lot of these guys, are very defiant about their atrocities. But it's a sad thing that has to happen. But I do believe when the families, the victims' families have this situation, and it takes decades to get justice, that's wrong. And so we're doing what we can to make sure that the justice is not denied in these cases, and so we'll continue to do that. And unfortunately, there's some really bad apples that are sitting on death row, and this is the law of the land, and we're going to make sure that it's followed. Yes, sir. Well, look, I mean, I've told everybody when I got elected in November, that was like the #1 question. I said, look, I'm gonna use this opportunity to do what I promised, and so I've been really intent on doing that. As you know, the budget will be passed on Friday. We got to go through the budget. We got to go through the bills. You got to sign bills. I don't know that I'm going to veto a lot of legislation. I haven't seen a lot of necessarily bad stuff, but who knows? Yeah, you go through that. So that takes a little bit of time. But look, at the end of the day, these things will happen in relatively due course. I mean, the season is what it is. I mean, there's only so much time. But I think that so many people just didn't understand that you win an election and you need to do something with what you've done, and that should have been my focus, and that's what has been our focus. And I think of the things that we said we were going to do, I don't think there's anything that we haven't done. And I think that we actually did even more than, certainly we've done more than what we even promised in the campaign. And I think that's really been probably true since I've been governor. We actually make big promises. Most people overpromise and underdeliver. We make big promises, but then we exceed even that high bar. And I think that's what we've done throughout, but definitely with this legislative session. So it's exciting to be a part of it. It's exciting that people are looking to Florida, and I see it too. I mean, I go, different people come. We actually have legislators, they'll come to me from other states. They want to meet with our legislators. They want to meet with my team to be able to talk about, like, how are you guys doing all this? And, part of the reason we're able to do it is because, we believe in just leading. And we don't think you got to put your finger in the wind. We don't worry about the media. We worry about doing what's right. And when you do what's right and you stand for the right things, people got your back, and people want to see you succeed. And so that's what's ended up happening in Florida. But this will definitely be, I think, a marker in our state's history about, really, really delivering on really bold things. And what you'll see is the ESG stuff. You're going to see other states follow suit in terms of what we did there. You look at what we did with school choice. You're going to see other states follow what we did there. We've got a huge bill coming to my desk to crack down on illegal immigration. And that's really setting, I think, the standard for many places in this country as well. The China land grabs. I think ours is the most ambitious bill in the country because we're saying no land grabs of farmland, but also no land grabs near military bases or critical infrastructure. Why would we want the Chinese Communist Party and its affiliates to be purchasing this land in the state of Florida? We don't want it to happen. So we're standing up and doing something about it. And so on issue after issue, I think we've delivered in a really, really big way. And it's been a lot of work. These guys in the legislature have worked incredibly hard. And we've worked hard in our office to make sure that this is teed up there. Normally the last week of session, it's like frantic and like I'm on the phone haggling with like, oh, can we do? We're not having to do that. We're all on the same page. Everything's kind of been locked and loaded, and it's just bringing everything in for a nice, smooth landing. And so it's a good feeling. So you're just gonna have to stay tuned on all this, okay? You'll get there one way or another very soon. So you just have to do it. But I'm not gonna short circuit any of the good work that we've done. I mean, we want to make sure we're thorough about doing that. Look, protecting the taxpayer with these line item vetoes is very important. If you look last year, I vetoed some big items, $3.3 billion, but that generated the largest budget surplus in the history of the state of Florida. So now we're in a situation where we still have a large surplus, not as large as last year because we're doing massive tax cuts and we're doing a lot of infrastructure to accelerate things that we need, which I think is smart. But if there's things that aren't necessary, then you got to lean in on that. And I'd imagine Northwest Florida will probably do okay in that process, but there are some things that sometimes get put in there that shouldn't be. So we'll see how it works out. All right, everybody, great to be here. When's the Pepsi Gulf Coast Jam? Is that a couple weeks? What is that, a month? When's that coming? First week in June. So we're going to try to make it for that. That's a great one. So God bless everybody. Appreciate it.